Welcome to the IDP Plus Player Props Podcast. We've been putting out our favorite tackle props all year long, and now it's conference championship time for the NFL season, and we've got a special one for you. That's Johnny. I'm Axton. Stick around. We'll get into some of our favorite player props in just a second. Yes, everyone, welcome back to another week of the IDP Plus Player Props podcast, where historically Johnny and I have been just laying out our favorite tackle props on any given week of the NFL season all the way through until this week. And now we've got only a couple of games this week, so we decided to change it up. Johnny's going to stick with defensive side of the ball, and he's got some tackle props for you guys, and I'm going to go on the offensive side, and I've got a few on the offensive side of the ball as well. And we're hoping to mix it up a little bit this week and have some fun. If you've been here before, you kind of know how this goes. We'll just kind of make our case for a handful of guys, and it's kind of up to you whether if you want to tail, if something strikes a chord with you, let us know. So otherwise, just kind of hear us out, and maybe we can help you help win some money for you this week on the conference championship round. So I would just want to preface this like every week by saying these aren't even really suggestions. It's more just research Johnny and I have done to make bets of our own or potentially place bets. So we're more or less just laying out the research we've done to save you all the time and effort on that behalf. So without further ado, just remind everybody to bet responsibly, set a limit and stick to it. For help, call 1-800-GAMBLER. So Johnny, I think the people have heard me talk long enough. Give the people what they want. What have you got for your first pick this week?
Well, after looking at the two games we have this week, there's only 4 possible teams picking these defensive props. And of course, Axton, we were talking, it's a tough week out here. Last week we put a bunch out for you, but this week it's tough. We like to put out bankable bets, of course. And looking this week, collectively, we only are looking at defensively one game. And I'm going to touch on both of those defensive picks, both the same player. But the first one I'll give you of their two is CooperDejean. We're going to like his odds this week to go over 3.5 combined tackles for minus 155 odds. Now, earlier in the morning, I checked the lines. It was at minus 134. Now it's up to minus 155. So it stressed the importance of looking early, scavenging as soon as we put this video out, or even before doing your own. We gave you the recipe now. Go out and hunt and do your own research and get these lines in quick. But right now, minus 155, could be even moving the line to 4.5 instead of 3.5. So I think at 4.5, I'm out. But here we are, CooperDejean over 3.5. He's hit in both playoff games. I believe his last 3 combined games, that is. And over the last 14 games, which I say the last 14, it's an odd number, but the first, I want to say 5 or 6 weeks, he did not record a tackle. So let's look at the last 14 games, of course, playoffs included. He did not have a tackle for the first 4 confirmed. So over the last 14, he's hit this 4 more tackles, 10 out of 14 times. Beautiful number. So that's over half. That's what, break it down, cut it in half. That's 5/7. Beautiful number. Week 16 versus Washington, we already got a sneak preview of what a litmus test of what his stat line is going to look like. He checked the box for us once again. 1 solo and 3 assists in that game in the regular season, week 16. So I have a lot of confidence about CooperDejean. Collectively, when we look at his rookie year, the first 4 weeks, if we're talking tackles, yeah, it weighed him down. But boy, when he got riding, he got really hot and is still hot. So, like I said, this is at minus 155 now. I bet tomorrow morning, Saturday morning, we're going to see it go up to 4.5. At that point, I'm not touching it. So get in while you can right now. And I think, even at minus 155, the odds aren't great, especially if you're throwing it in a parlay. I think this is for a crappy week. This is a bankable bet still. So Axton, CooperDejean, over to you.
Yeah, caught on to CooperDejean last week, probably a little late looking at his stats. I'd be curious to go back and see what his lines were all year if the books are still behind and giving him low lines like this, considering, like you said, to start the season, he didn't have any stats because the guy wasn't on the field. He's a rookie. He was mainly returning punts and special team stuff. So since he started playing 100% of snaps. First game, 6-4. Then he had a series of 3-3-3, 5 tackles, 6 tackles, 5-5, 1, 4, 6, 4, 5. I mean, the guy is just a playmaker. He's got a nose for the football, and over the course of having done this, he's had multiple weeks with more than one assisted tackle in that time. I know I'm getting a little ahead of myself here, but nonetheless, this guy knows how to get tackles, and in a championship, a conference championship matchup, you got to expect that he's going to continue to do the same, as the Seagulls defense is going to need to contain the passing game in this one. So I like that to start us off here with CooperDejean. My first play this week is going to be, I mentioned earlier, I'm going on the offensive side of the ball. So I'm going to look at JalenHurts to go over 11.5 yards for his longest rush. This comes in at minus 115, so it's a little more chalky, but I think it's a good little parlay piece, or even something that you could put, 10 or 15 bucks on, still almost double your cash here. So here's my case for JalenHurts' longest rush over 11.5 yards at minus 115. There's no need for a matchup argument as far as defenses go. Hurts does this in his sleep. The passing is down in this offense overall. For example, Hurts is only throwing 20 passes per game, so you're just not seeing a lot of passing volume, and we're going to see, so I anticipate another heavy dose of rushing in this one. We're going to see a lot of Saquon Barkley, and we're going to see a lot of Hurts on the ground, and Hurts has done this in all but 6 games this season. 2 of those 6 games that he didn't do it were just 1 yard short. So I love this for a lock play for JalenHurts' longest rush over 11.5 yards this week at minus 115. Johnny, thoughts on that, and then we'll get into your next play here.
Well, just looking in the past 2 games in the playoffs, this is the first time I'm getting this bet, really like looking at the info. So just looking at it at a glance, man, the last 2 playoff games, 15 versus Green Bay the first week, and then last week a long of 44. So definitely checks the bill. Rushing has been there all year, and you make a good point about the completions not being astronomical. And when that happens with a mobile quarterback, like you said, better odds to get that 11 or 12 yard rush, I should say. So I like this bet. It's not one that, of course, I'm always trying to scour the defensive wire. So I'm glad I have you on my side, Axton, to find bets like that, because I wish I would have got in earlier. I'm sure the odds were better this morning, but I'll get it in by tonight. So we'll write the ship.
Honestly, they haven't even fluctuated a lot. Just flat out the best way to beat Washington all year has been through the ground. They've been pretty stingy defending the pass. So, anything you can exploit in the rush game.
Yeah. But that's true. Keep that in mind, too. I learned that now. Reflected on it, the defensive side of the prop bets, they fluctuate a lot more day to day than the offensive side. Going into my second pick, in the same game, again, all 3 of my defensive picks are from the same game. Got a lot of confidence with this game, not so much the other. But for the NFC, again, Eagles, CJGardnerJohnson hit it last week. We're going to go back to the well. If it's not broke, we're not going to try to fix it. CJGardnerJohnson under 1.5 assisted tackles at minus 117. This was actually at plus 104 this morning. That's what caught my eye. But again, these lines like to fluctuate on the defensive props. Still backing it here at minus 117. I think it's a bankable bet. Again, I'll make the same case that I've made. I only hit this in 6 out of 18 combined games. Only 1/3 of the time has he got this. Let's take the side where it's 2/3. Simple math there. He's only hit 2 or more assisted tackles in 6 complete games. That's regular season and playoffs, but not since week 14. So it has shown glimpses. I've mentioned that. Axton, you mentioned it, backing my case last year. The numbers were skewed. Only 25 assisted tackles in 18 games. That's only an average of 1.38. But when you look at that first month, I believe the first 3 games, he had 3 assisted tackles in those first 3. So that's 9 right off the bat. Boy, you only got 15 more, 16 more the whole season, after that. So this is a player that's a solid real life player who can play great, as far as deep safety and has been a banger at some points in his career. But this year he has not been on, and when he's on, he's on, and when he's off, he's off. And it looks like that, he hasn't hit this line for multiple weeks, been over a month now, so he's off. And only 25 tackles in 18 games is not something to write home about, when 9 of them came in the first 3 games. If you want to know, again, these teams, they gave us a litmus test. If you want to know what he did in the regular season versus Washington in that matchup, well, he only had 1 tackle, and that was 1 assisted tackle. But again, not hitting this marker. So further backing the point of CJGardnerJohnson is a fine player in this secondary, integral part of the defense. But when it comes to getting tackles, he is not somebody you lean on. Actually, you pounce on top of. So add him to the list of the Ryan Diablos, the Tremaine Edmonds. I give you, ladies and gentlemen, CJGardnerJohnson, under 1.5 assists, -117. Axe, back to you.
Yeah, solid. He's been one of those, like you said, go to the well. Been one of those guys that's kind of hit this under for us time or two this year already. So, and we were talking about CooperDejean a little bit ago. Just so happens that those first 3 games where CJGardnerJohnson was going off, 8 tackles, 6 tackles, 5 tackles, all with 3 assists, went off the first 3 weeks. It just so happens that a couple of weeks later, CooperDejean slid into the lineup and started playing 100% of snaps. Got to figure that means that maybe CJGardnerJohnson moved out of the slot corner role and or I forget if it's slot corner or if he's like nickelback. Either way, you got to figure that's where CooperDejean slid in. CJGardnerJohnson probably plays more deep, and he's probably playing in more coverage snaps, which is why you're seeing the tackles fluctuate a little bit more, just kind of more dependent on the game script. And like you said, after the first 3 games, he only hit it 1, 2, 3 times all year long. So gotta love the odds on that one, -117, and the history is in your favor. So love that one. I'll jump into my next pick here, my second pick of the week. We're going to go into I'm going to end the last couple of plays are going to be in the Kansas City Chiefs-Buffalo game. Being the Chiefs fan here, I'm going with SamajePerine, longest reception, over 7.5 yards. This comes in at -105, so we've got a little bit better odds here. Not a whole lot to say about this one either, other than the line is just way too low. If you don't believe me, go check out SamajePerine's stat sheet for the entire year. This line the over on this has been money all year long. There's only been 4 games all year that he hasn't hit this, last week and then 3 games earlier in the year. So otherwise, if he catches the ball, you can pretty well guarantee it's going to be for a first down. So I love this play for a second lock of the week after my JalenHurts play. Like I said, SamajePerine, as long as he catches a pass, he covers this, and he's caught at least 1 in a majority of games all year. I love this play. So that's my second play this week. We will get Johnny's thoughts on it, and then we'll roll into his third play.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it. It looks like in the regular season, what did he have against Buffalo? He had 4 targets, 2 catches, 8 yards. So in that game, he hit it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, as far as Perine, I remember you talking about him last week. Did not hit the mark, but hey, if we didn't get it last week, we'll get it back this week. Sweeten the odds a little bit. I like this bet, Axton. This is just what happens in this kind of game. We're going to see like Matt Collins catch a touchdown. Maybe even see Robert Woods dressed in the blue and red and catch another touchdown there. Who knows? Everyone's catching touchdowns there in Buffalo. Same thing with Kansas City too. So like this pick a lot. Maybe even there's a case where SamajePerine gets more than that 1 catch. So definitely he can get this on 1 catch. No doubt. So.
His line for yards was at like 13. So, he could easily cover his longest reception and his total yards all in 1 play.
No doubt. And pretty much even odds. So, I like it. He's going to get a catch and hopefully more than 1. If more than 1, we're banking this. So, like it a lot. Backing it on this one, Axton. And I know you mentioned CooperDejean. We're 1 for 1. We both mentioned once, but I gotta win that duel there. So I'm gonna go mention him one more time. So for my third pick, all defensive props coming from the NFC Championship game, I'm going back to CooperDejean. This time we are talking assisted tackles. We like his line of over 1.5 assisted tackle, and that is absurdly at plus 172. He has hit this in 4 out of the last 4 games, all 4 games, and combined in those 4 games for 9 assists, so over an average of 2. He's clearing this easily at this point. This is actually, to me, almost more bankable than the overall tackles. I don't believe he hit this last week, so maybe in one case you could say it's not as bankable. And defensive backs really aren't breadwinners when it comes to assisted tackles. However, averaging over 2 of your last 4 games is impressive. And CooperDejean, I'm surprised they gave us this astronomical odds. This is one I'm going to pounce on and get as many parlays as I can. Use this as a just stack, just increase my odds, multiply my odds. That's what this pick is for. If you want to throw it as a single, that's fine too. But CooperDejean, I'm pretty confident about it. His litmus test in Week 16 versus Washington, again, when he was, like you mentioned, good point about that CJGardnerJohnson, fade when CooperDejean hit his stride. Well, he was in his stride not too far, just a month ago, not too long ago, Week 16 versus Washington, 1 solo and 3 assists in that game. So doubled the marker of what he needed in that one. Just insane odds here for a pretty likely, or I should say fairly likely thing to happen. So once again, CooperDejean, hammer it over 1.5 assisted tackles for plus 172. Axe, back to you.
No doubt. You even forgot to mention the fact that he did it earlier in the season too. I don't know if that's like week 8 or so. He played Washington and got 3 again.
Week 16.
Yeah, he's played Washington twice in the regular season. He got 3 assisted tackles in both games. So you got to figure Jaden Daniels has the right mixture for tackling production for CooperDejean, especially. He's going to be picking on rookies when he does pass the ball, and the fact that CooperDejean is going to play some snaps around the line of scrimmage, it just lends well to that tackling production. If we can get him, we hit him last week over 1.5 assists. This time plus 172. The books are just totally ignoring this one, man. This is some real juicy odds, some nice odds for CooperDejean to do kind of what he's just been doing much of the season. So good passing, or good game, back and forth. The ball moves down the field. CooperDejean hits this 1.5 assisted tackle line. I like that. My final play, going into the offensive side of the ball, staying in the Kansas City Buffalo game, I've got DaltonKincaid going 50 or more receiving yards. I stretched this a little bit. I wanted to give us some extra juice on one play this week. So DaltonKincaid over 50. And here's my case on DaltonKincaid. The Chiefs defense just cannot guard tight ends. 10 of a possible 18 games has a tight end done this against the Chiefs. And then of the 8 left, there was a handful that were within 5 to 10 yards of this. Just one measly pass or an extra effort to get some extra yardage there, and this could have hit in all but like 5 or 6 games. So Kincaid has only done this 3 times this year, but I have no doubt the Bills will have to pass the ball effectively in order to beat the Chiefs. You're not going to do it on the ground, even though that is their strength. I'm sure Josh Allen will run plenty, but he's going to have to pass the ball plenty in order to score and keep up with the Chiefs. So by scoring and putting a lot of pressure on the Chiefs, that is vital to the key to success. So the top weakness to exploit in the Chiefs is the tight end coverage game. I think Kincaid could get away with this in a couple of big plays. So DaltonKincaid, 50 plus receiving yards, coming in at a nice 225 to wrap things up on my end here. Johnny, did you want to get into a couple of bonus plays or something for everybody before we get out of here and sign off?
Yeah, so I just wanted to say, I had mentioned before, obviously limited picks. This is not week 1 or, regular season week where we have every game at our disposal. But, there are some good picks in here. And I did pick defensive props for this show, but I did notice some offensive props. I did swing both ways here when it comes to bets. And I did notice that some offensive props that, made me want to sprinkle in with these parlays. So the way I do it, I've said this before on the show, but I'll take 2, 3, 4 of my picks and combine them, however many ways I want to do it. Maybe a couple of 3 picks, a couple of 4 picks. But a perfect parlay for me would be something like this. I'll throw out all three of my defensive picks. So once again, that's CooperDejean's over on tackles, assisted tackles, and under for CJGardnerJohnson on assisted tackles. I might add it with something slight, something bankable. I think like Travis Kelce over 60 receiving yards. That's at minus 185 right now. I think just to hedge your odds, juice your odds a little bit. Something else like a Khalil Shakir over 40 yards. Right now, the odds aren't great. I'm sure you could find maybe a better bang for your buck, but I think he's pretty bankable to get over 40 yards. At
6 plus receptions was plus money. I was looking at Shakir earlier too. Sorry.
Yeah.
6 plus receptions was plus money. He's done that about 50%. Sorry, I just want to chime in. I didn't mean
and
to
like
interrupt.
you said, these guys are going to be needed, So I was also thinking about for great. I think it was plus maybe 125, something like that. Keon Coleman over 25 yards, plus 150 it was. So like just some random things. Mac Hollins, maybe that touchdown. But yeah, Kelce and Shakir, bankable. Just, take modest yards here and just juice it on a parlay. Axton, how about you?
Yeah, I kind of like doing some of the same. I'm also been into some of the low line totals where like Noah Gray's line, 11.5 yards. The dude averages like 25 a game throughout the season. He doesn't always hit 25 yards a game, but he throughout the year. Same thing, Dawson Knox. He can cover his line of 13.5 in one play. He's done it most of the season when he catches a pass, and you're playing a game against a bad tight end coverage defense. And then Mac Hollins, you mentioned him. Anytime he catches the ball, it's at least 15 yards. And all he's got to do is just catch the one pass. So I kind of like playing those low lines where guys often get 2 or 3 targets a game, and all they got to do is really catch one pass in order to hit the line. So, keep an eye on those guys kind of down there at the bottom of the totem pole. The books like to try to hide them down there, but there's some extra money to be made down there. But unless you got anything else, we'll go ahead and sign off here for today. Thank you everybody for tuning in. If you've been here before, thank you for sticking around with us. If you're new here, hopefully we made a good case enough for you to convince you one way or another. And again, let us know if we strike a chord. Throw it in the comments. This has been a great time all year, and we'll be back for one more time for Super Bowl Sunday. So stay tuned. We will be back. And thanks again. Good luck, everybody.
Thank you for watching the IDP Plus YouTube network. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Be sure to tap the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload new content.